Let's start without cushioning it. Two Jewish men have been stabbed in Golders Green, North London, broad daylight reality, and the Metropolitan Police have done something very specific. They've declared it a terrorist incident, not serious assault, not hate crime under investigation. Terrorist incident. That word isn't decorative. It's not for headlines. It's a legal classification with weight. What happened as far as we know? Here's the clean version. Two Jewish men attacked, stabbed in Golders Green, area already tense following recent anti-Semitic incidents. Counter-terrorism command now leading the investigation. No speculation, no embroidery, just the facts. And the fact that matters most, this has crossed into terrorism under UK law. What does terrorist incident actually mean? Because this is where people often drift into confusion. The term terrorism in the UK isn't about how shocking something feels. It's about criteria. Under the Terrorism Act 2000, an act qualifies if it involves violence or threat of violence designed to influence government or intimidate the public for a political, religious, or ideological cause. So when police label something a terrorist incident, they are not guessing. They are saying the available evidence suggests this meets that threshold. The shift. This is the moment everything changes. Because once something is classified as terrorism, the entire response changes. Counter-terror officers take over, resources increase, legal pathways shift, intelligence frameworks activate. This is no longer a local policing issue, it's a national security concern. Golders Green. Why location matters. Golders Green isn't just another postcode. It's home to a large Jewish community, which means an attack here is not just random geography. It carries cultural weight, communal impact, historical resonance. And when you combine that with recent anti-Semitic incidents, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Pattern versus incident. Let's be precise. One attack is an incident. Multiple attacks clustered in time and theme. That's a pattern. And patterns are what counterterrorism units are trained to identify because patterns suggest motivation, escalation, potential for repetition. The word intimidation. This is the core of the terrorism definition. Not just violence, but intimidation. The idea that an act is meant to send a message beyond the immediate victim. And in this context, that message is felt by the Jewish community in Golders Green, Jewish communities across London. Anyone paying attention to the pattern, the satire stops here for a moment. Because this is where we don't play games. There's nothing abstract about this. Two people were stabbed, and the state has said this wasn't just violence. This was terror-linked violence. The broader context. Why this doesn't exist in isolation. We are in a moment where global tensions are high. Domestic polarization is rising. Online rhetoric is bleeding into real-world behavior. And in that environment, acts like this don't emerge in a vacuum. They emerge in ecosystems. The online-offline pipeline. Let's talk about the quiet mechanism. Ideas, amplified online, normalized in certain spaces, acted out offline. This is not theoretical. It's a pattern seen repeatedly. And once that pipeline activates, incidents become more likely. The legal system's role, declaring something a terrorist incident, does three things. It acknowledges the seriousness, it activates specialized investigation, it signals to the public this matters at a higher level. It's not just classification, it's escalation. The public response always complex. People react differently. Some call for stronger action. Some worry about civil liberties. Some focus on community safety. All of these responses exist at once. because terrorism sits at the intersection of security, freedom, identity, the danger of minimizing. There's always a temptation to soften things, to say, let's wait, let's not jump to conclusions, and caution is important. But once a terrorist designation is made, minimizing it becomes something else. It becomes avoidance. The community impact. This is the real story. Because beyond law, beyond classification, there's the human layer. Communities don't experience this as legal definitions. They experience it as fear, awareness, adjustment. Routes change, behaviors shift, people become more alert. Not because they're told to, because they feel they have to. 2 men stabbed, terrorist, incident declared. Counter-terror police investigating. Context of recent anti-Semitic attacks. This is serious, not symbolic, not rhetorical. Serious. There's a moment when a society realizes something has shifted, not dramatically, not all at once, but enough that people start paying attention differently, walking differently, thinking differently about places that used to feel neutral. That's what incidents like this do. They don't just harm individuals, they alter atmosphere, quietly, persistently. And the word terrorism matters because it acknowledges that. It says this wasn't just violence. This was an attempt to create fear beyond the act itself. And fear is contagious, not through panic, through awareness, through small changes in behavior, through the subtle question that starts forming, could this happen again? And that's the line between incident and impact. Because once that question exists, the damage has already spread. So this isn't just about investigation or classification or even accountability. It's about what happens next, whether the system contains this or whether it becomes part of a wider pattern. Because patterns don't need to be loud to be dangerous, they just need to repeat. And repetition is what turns fear into expectation. And expectation is what changes everything. And here's where it becomes even more fragile. Because expectation doesn't just sit in the background, it shapes behavior in ways that are almost invisible at first. People don't announce it, they adjust, they scan a little more carefully, they avoid certain times, certain places, they become just slightly more alert in spaces that used to feel automatic, not because they're told to, because something in the environment has changed. And once that change takes hold, it's difficult to reverse. You can increase patrols, you can issue reassurances, you can investigate and prosecute. All of that matters, but the psychological shift, that takes longer because safety isn't just about what is prevented, it's about what people believe is possible. And once the idea of targeted violence becomes real, even once, it doesn't disappear when the headlines move on. It lingers just beneath the surface, quietly shaping how people move through the same streets that no longer feel quite the same,